Welcome to PD on the Go, the podcast that delivers bite-sized learning on communication, collaboration, and facilitation for busy teacher leaders. Tune in while you're in the car, making copies, or on your lunch break, and get ready to level up your leadership skills. My name is Hallie Case, and I'm an educational specialist in the Office of Professional Learning, and today I'm joined by my colleague, Mary Beth Anderson.
Hello.
So, as we were planning for this episode, what we're going to bring to you today, listeners, is some key highlights from a Compass course. So if you're in Fairfax County Public Schools, you may or may not have heard that we have a series of courses called Compass courses. And these are for aspiring or current leaders to sort of level up their leadership skills, but they take place mostly during the school day. We know that not everybody is able to leave their school building to attend these courses. So we thought it would be kind of fun to give you like the biggest hits from the course. So today we're going to share with you some of the most powerful content from our course, which is called Engaging in Difficult Conversations. And Mary Beth and I have taught this course together a lot, many times. And so we're going to share with you some of the key takeaways from this. So Mary Beth, tell people a little bit about sort of where this course comes from and why we think it's important.
Yeah, so engaging in difficult conversations, a lot of the research that we use to support our content is from the book Crucial Conversations.
That's right.
And we know as leaders that often we have to have difficult conversations. And so we felt that this was really important content to bring to leaders across our division to be able to engage in these conversations and not shy away from them. Because we know, I think almost every person doesn't like to have a difficult conversation, but they're often necessary.
Right.
So bringing this content helps people to be a little bit more prepared as they face those conflicts or difficult conversations.
Yeah, most of the content of the course is about the preparation because in the book and in the course, you talk about how there's sort of like 3 things that people usually do in a difficult conversation. They either try to win, they try to punish the other person, or they try to make peace. And then like the 4th thing that's most common is just ignoring it altogether and not even having the conversation. So let's talk a little bit about those 3 things. So when we're trying to win in a conversation, like what's an example there?
So I think about, like, if I haven't planned for a conversation and I go into it, I just want to get my point across. I want to win. I feel like maybe my perspective is the most important, and I want the other person to understand what I want.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to win in the conversation. And I also think when we have difficult conversations, we're not necessarily in an argument, but it could be something that's I'm feeling
Tensions
high
are
emotion,
high. Yeah.
around it, and I just want to make sure I'm getting my point across.
And that is, I think, really similar to the punish idea, too, of, like, sometimes I think this happens more frequently when someone comes to you with something they want to talk about. Like, we were talking earlier today, like, if someone were to tell us, like, your team's a little loud in the office space, I might want to feel like I should retaliate or be defensive by punishing them. Like, well, your team's loud sometimes too. And actually I have all these examples of when you disturbed these meetings that we were having, right? So that's kind of punishing the other person.
Right.
And then make peace.
Make peace, I think, happens a lot when you have this conversation and then you just sort of back down to it, right? Somebody comes back to you and says, well, actually, I have all these examples of you being loud. And then the person might say, well, you're right. I'll just make sure that we're quiet and then, we won't disturb you. And now I've totally taken away my perspective or my part in the conversation just to keep the peace.
Yeah. And I think in the field of education in particular, sometimes we have what we would call a culture of nice, where we feel like we should make the peace, keep the peace, because we don't want to ruffle any feathers, and we know everyone's working really hard, and we're presuming best intent of people.
Or being the bigger person.
Right.
Right?
So
you hear that a lot.
That's right. So I think, too, it's important to know, like, what makes a conversation important enough to have? Like, is it important enough to try to win against someone who's complaining I'm too loud in the office? Probably not. But if the stakes are high, then it's an important conversation. If it has something to do with students and ensuring that students are getting the best possible education they can have, then the stakes are high enough to always have the conversation. And you're going to want to plan it so that you don't kind of default to these other ways of doing things. So how do we prepare for a difficult conversation?
So the first thing, and I use this like in my personal life too all the time, especially when someone comes to me with a problem with someone, then I might say, so one place to start is asking yourself, why would a reasonable, rational person act this way?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we start to have negative feelings towards the other person, like they're loud all the time. Are they ever doing work? And we start thinking things like that. But it's like, why would they act that way? And we can maybe start to think through the other person's viewpoint, and that might help us to come to a more shared meaning when we have the conversation.
Yeah. Yep. And there's this theory in psychology, too, called the fundamental attribution error. And we teach this in the course as well. And essentially what it means is that we tend, as humans, human nature, we attribute other people's behaviors to their character and our behaviors to our circumstances. So, for example, if on my way driving to the podcast studio today, someone cut me off while I'm driving my car, I might think, oh, that person's such a jerk, and I'm attacking their character. But if I cut someone off, which I think I might have done trying to follow your car over here, by the way, I would just say like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm running late, or like I'm trying to make sure I get to the right place.
I'm following someone.
It's about my circumstances, not about my character. So keeping that in mind too, and preparing for the conversation through that lens can help really calm down any like big emotions that we're having towards somebody too.
Yeah.
With this ultimate goal of like inviting them to share their perspective and not just trying to win, punish, or make peace in the conversation.
Yeah, this just us talking right now is making me think about when we have difficult conversations, often we want to go into it to share our point, but really the biggest idea of it is coming together for the shared meaning so that we both walk away feeling good about the conversation and the solution or result that we came to.
Yep. And so we would say even like plan out kind of what your opening statement is going to be. And as part of the course, we have a template that walks you through some ideas and sentence frames of how you could plan that opening statement. So we're going to share that with you through our teacher leadership site, which you can access through our Instagram account. So if you go to Instagram and search for @FCPS_PD, you'll be able to find that planning tool that goes along with some of the ideas shared in today's episode. So please make sure to go there, give us a follow, check out the link in our bio, and we hope you join us next week for some more PD on the go.